For so long, we've just assumed that businesses have to be evaluated only by one metric, and that's financial. And I think more and more young companies are showing that we're building brands that care and that will be measured on more metrics than an Excel spreadsheet can ever kind of encapsulate. For me, I always knew I wanted to create some sort of impact. I knew I wanted to be part of the solution in many ways. So I thought I wanted to work in development. I was working at a solar energy company called Salco Foundation in Bangalore. And I largely worked on solarizing agri needs for farmers, for public health centers in rural Karnataka primarily. And prior to that, I worked at WHO. So I knew I always was very social leaning kind of in my interest, right from high school to college. So I think that was one kind of area. And as I got older as an adult, I kind of really started to read more about climate action and just wanted to be more part of the solution. So it was very clear that I would then spend my career in, environmental conservation or educational awareness, or kind of in the energy access space or on the waste management space. And that's kind of how it all began. So when I did start Bare Necessities, I think I was 24. I was kind of very optimistic, maybe a little too naive. But to be honest, I've worked very hard my entire life, and that formula has worked, really, really well. I have lots of learning disabilities, but I was like, oh, you study hard, you get good grades. You study hard, you get, a scholarship to your dream school. I went to Cambridge on a completely full ride scholarship. So I think, those kind of, that formula that I think I watched and practiced and emulated my entire kind of childhood didn't quite work in the fundraising circuit. And I don't know if it was a combination of my age or that I was a single female founder or the sustainability ecosystem just wasn't so developed, but it was really hard. And I was looking and, at my other counterparts who went to the same undergraduate school in LA and the same graduate school as me in Cambridge, and who were building startups, who were able to raise money with ease. So I think, I don't know if it was a combination of the fact that they also had a male co-founder, or they were just in a different geography that was more open and more understanding of circular businesses or sustainable businesses. So I think, I've done more than 200 odd failed pitches. And I decided that I'm going to just put my head down and just be laser focused on building a really amazing kick-ass brand. For me, honestly, it just means to live as mindfully as I possibly can and in alignment with my values as much as I possibly can. And of course, on a more systemic level, or if you took a bit more from a definition perspective, it's about also looking at people, planet, and profit. So how do I have the economic goals of my company also congruent to the environmental goals of my company? Because I think for so long, we've just assumed that businesses have to be evaluated only by one metric, and that's financial. And I think more and more young companies are showing that we're building brands that care and that will be measured on more metrics than an Excel spreadsheet can ever kind of encapsulate, right? And for me, that's largely the women in my manufacturing team and production packaging team. Most of them actually have never had any formal schooling, never had access to health insurance prior to Bare Necessities. A lot of them didn't have bank accounts. So, talking about financial inclusion, talking about health inclusion, and it is, generating livelihoods. We've also very excitedly hired waste pickers or waste warriors, like I like to call them, into our production team. So I think looking at how you can do something that is beyond just that financial metric and how you're going to create social and environmental impact as byproducts of what you're building is just going to become the norm. And it's not just going to be, the exception or the one odd social impact entrepreneur. I think it's going to just be how we all want to build businesses, because That's the values that at the end of the day we all love and value and respect, and that's equality, empathy to one another, empathy to the planet. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents. Simple things, but I drive my EV, or I take the metro, or I walk a lot. So I'm quite cognizant of my footprint on a kind of local, daily level. I, of course, always carry my reusables, so I'm not kind of reaching out for that single-use plastic cup or, water, beverage, or food container, etc. What else do I do? I mean, I use my bamboo toothbrush when I get started in the morning. I use, of course, only sustainable products that are non-polluting to the groundwater, from the minute I wake up to the minute I sleep. So that means how I wash my clothes, how I wash my dishes, but also what I use on my body and on my head. Honestly, very early on, I realized that I had to create awareness for our sustainable products, because there was no market for our products when we got started. And for me, it was a really fun, chill, but also very community driven approach of creating talks, workshops, conversations around conservation, around sustainability, around low waste living. That was actually what jump started this whole thing. And being a small scrappy entrepreneur, obviously in early days you don't even have any marketing budgets to do things, so this was my way of doing free marketing. But for me, it was honestly, I just wanted to chat with anyone who cared about waste and sustainability, so it worked out perfectly. Going low waste is in line with all of your kind of saving goals as well. So I think we're doing more and more communication around that, and I think more people, once you start living a low waste lifestyle, whether that is embracing hand me downs and wearing your nani's sari to your next wedding instead of purchasing a new outfit, or thrifting or reloving. I think there's lots of kind of proof out there right now that it makes even environmental sense, of course, but even financial sense for you to go more sustainable. The time is now, and it's never been this good for us to be out there and to do whatever we want to do, to break these barriers, to redefine everything on our own terms. And we're living in this really exciting time. So I hope that all of us really kind of take full opportunity of it and really define our own world and write our own story, based on our own terms.